It's too late. We'll. I mean, just go talk. But we'll start it over. We'll edit it. But go ahead.
I'm gonna ask: is the video being recorded now too? Because we're gonna
Yes.
use that for the YouTube. All right,
Everybody can
wait.
see this. Yep, we're gonna have to edit that part. But
Okay.
yeah, this is the draft season podcast. It is your boy Young Raz coming live from where I often do, Queens, New York. This is a very special episode, though. Let's cut to it. I'm not even gonna draw it out with the introduction and all that. You know, I'm here with Sean 5K. That's my player partner. But we have the Knicks wall in the building. Can you guys please introduce yourselves?
TKW in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Sean Geddes. I hate Sean. Yes.
My evil twin.
That's probably the wackest I've ever introduced myself.
Word. I hate the introductions too. I get stage fright, but rock with my boy Sean. It's Sky Drew. Hit me on Twitter at Sky Drew. Excited to get this rocking. Let's go.
So yeah, I mean, me and Sean, the 5K, not the Sean who hates himself. We just got back. We just got back from Vegas actually, so we got to see some of this summer league action up close and personal. First of all, summer league is a vibe. Vegas, great city as always. It always shows love, but summer league is a real intimate experience. It feels real AAU type, walking in between gyms, going back and forth to games, price of admission for one game. So I do advise everyone, if you can do it, get out there and see some of that young talent trying to make the league and some of the premier rookies and sophomores that are playing, trying to just sharpen up their craft. But, I mean, we're not going to step on the lead. We're going to talk about the New York Knicks. So, guys, can you guys tell me if there's anybody who stood out to you, during this run?
To be honest, the entire roster.
Yeah.
I mean, let them out. We talk about them all, but I mean,
there's no wrong answer, bro. There's no wrong answer with the Knicks. Like Obi was becoming who we saw in college. IQ was doing point guard things that I know Sean was hyping up all last year. Keep him going on McBride, who literally looked like a Marcus Smart, Van Fleet in one player. And then we saw Quentin Grimes, who had the strap looking like H2O. So I mean, we all good money this summer.
And don't forget about my guy Jericho Sims, looking like one of the most athletic players that's going to be in the NBA. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, that was a steal at 58. So I just feel like, with like our draft position and what we came out with and how they looked in summer league, it was great, man. It was real promising. And between Quentin and Deuce, like they did. I normally say like Deuce and Grimes, so I did it right this time. Between Quentin and Deuce, they were like both 3 and D. Like, they were both. That was way more than I expected from Deuce offensively. I knew that he shot 42% from 3 in college, but I didn't realize, he had the strap as well. Like, and he's really athletic, but he's a lockdown defender. He gets right up in the guys, and he's also like he's got bounce. Like, he was getting weak side blocks, and I was just like, yo, this guy's different. So he's all over the floor. Grimes was nice. He didn't shoot especially well the entire time, but. Yeah, he didn't shoot entirely well the entire time, but I'm not too worried about him scoring or his jumper. He ran the offense really well. He set Obi up nicely in the pick and roll. He got us organized in transition. Obi did what he was supposed to do and dominated the summer league. So I was ecstatic, man. I hated seeing Wayne Selden on the floor too much, but
Right.
I was saying that in person, bro. The Knicks were like clearly. They were clearly in win now because what the fuck was Wayne Selden? Oh, I'm sorry about the curse, but what that deserves a curse right there. What was Wayne Selden doing on the court? Like I wanted to see quickly play off of McBride. I wanted to see that 1-2, kind of see how that worked. But I mean, it's no real issue. I mean, Wayne Selden, maybe he's a vet. He showed some of them how to prepare, I guess, for that limited run. But quickly, I was down on quickly after the first game with the point guard experiment. I was one of those people that was just like, maybe he needs to play that off-ball, off-guard kind of thing where he's just able to get his buckets. But, as he settled in and started running that pick and roll, he started to look like someone who could be a lead creator and lead facilitator for this team. So it kind of just made me question, we've never had such a surplus of young guards, I don't think, that I was this high on. So, it makes me try to think about what is the fit. Can McBride and quickly play together at a 1-2? Are we going to platoon that minutes? I mean, and, even the dudes ahead of them, because this team, I don't see how much playing time, McBride or even Grimes are going to get this year, just with the veterans that we brought back. Because through all this hype, we forget about, Burks is back. We signed Kemba. We have a bunch of other players that will get playing time before them. So I think, this summer league is something that really had to happen for this team just to see what these players are.
Yeah, so I would say like a lot of thoughts about this Knicks Summer League team. First of all, shout out to the scouting department, because I think at this point of where it's at, these last couple of years, particularly if you want to go like going back to the IQ pick, we could talk about Obi. Obi looked really good. Just from an activity standpoint, he looked a lot more like Dayton Obi than he did. Just continuing over with the good form that we saw from Obi. But yeah, in general, I think the scouting department has done a really good job for the Knicks and just finding value and finding gems in this draft. IQ, like we said, the only question about him was, the passing. Can he be that lead guard? I still don't think he's best suited and best optimized in a lead guard situation, but I do think just about how the pieces fit for this core going forward. Talk about somebody like how you're going to play off of Julius Randle, and how you're going to play off of somebody like RJ as well in that next step that he's going to take. He's extremely confident, attacking. You know what I'm saying? He was getting to his spots the entire time, even with the missed shots. He was extremely confident out there and just always getting to where he wanted to go on the court. But yeah, just passing wise, IQ was second in. He was second in all players.
Can I cut you up right there?
Go ahead.
This is where my question is, Sean. I'm gonna ask both of y'all. Playmaking is a skill that you very vaguely see develop at the NBA level, but in IQ's case, maybe it's because he didn't get to play the one that much in college. And his freshman year, we didn't see it that much. It looks like it improved a lot in the summer league. Am I wrong?
I think no, because I would definitely say, like, going back to like another guy who we'll get to later, that was awesome in summer league is Tyreke Maxey. So Tyreke Maxey is who he shared his backcourt with at UK. Mm-hmm. So it's just like both of those guys are more, what I'm saying, they're both score first kind of guys. Not into a wrong part, but what I'm saying, when we talk about playmaking, it's not just assists and it's not just, what I'm saying, the John Stockton and Rondo type of setting guys up. You can set guys up with the threat of your own offense, and that's the bag that IQ is going to fall in going forward. So it's just like, especially with like coming out, I have the stats up in front of me right here. So the shooting was a little off because just efficiency wise for IQ. But I've never really, he shot 24% from three in summer league, which isn't great, but he's a shooter. I'm not really concerned about IQ's shot. I think going back to playing with the core that he's going to be next to, I just think his actual, I think it's a really good fit considering you're going to have defensively guys who can, and also for defense on IQ, he's not as bad as people say he is on defense. I think he's active and he knows where to be on defense as well. But yeah, I think especially for IQ, finishing second in summer league for assists per game. I know a lot of people say he was too good to be out there, which he probably was. But I do think that development and his feel for the game is really strong. So I think even though he might not be a pure point guard, I loved what I saw from IQ.
What about this then? Okay, you go first. Okay, keep going, Sean.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like I'm not even really sure why. I don't think he's a bad defender by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's actually a good defender. He's in position all the time. He's small, but otherwise, like, his defensive principles are good. He was picking up full court sometimes. And as a playmaker, I don't know what it is that makes people rush to put like limits on these guys. We didn't even get to see IQ get a lot of playmaking opportunities last year to say that he can't do it. And like you said, he's one of those guys who's able to play make off of his scoring. He has so much gravity on the floor, whether he has the ball or not. So with just the way that people have to close out to him, allows him to get into the lane, that floater they have to respect. It allows him to set people up for opportunities. And last year he was in a lineup with Rose. Before that he was in a lineup with Austin Rivers, whatever it is. But he never really was in a role where he fully, was out there running the show and things like that. And we got to see him make a lot of progression on that. And it's clear that a focus is being placed on that. And I think that's really dope. And like you said about the scouting staff and the developmental staff, like we saw this in year one. Here's where you can improve in year two. He came back. He focused on it. There's a clear improvement made. And that's what you want to see. And he doesn't have – there are very few pure point guards left in the NBA. Like, it's not really a thing anymore. Like I said, it's not too much John Stockton. There aren't many Chris Pauls. Like, a lot of it is going to come off of your scoring, especially when you play in a lineup with a jumbo initiator like Julius Randle. I don't need IQ to set everybody up all the time. But the fact that he's able to do so in a certain capacity makes him a better player and makes us a better team.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like you said, like this is a change of tide for the Knicks. You know, this forward thinking is something we haven't seen from a regime in quite some time. So you know, just like it's just one of those things where like we never thought we would be able to see a team that's building towards something. It was always quick fixes. It was always taking swings at bad vets, you know, throwing out money when we shouldn't, or just having money and nobody coming. I think it's now that we're, you know, building the players that we actually have and taking some investment in player development, because that's one thing we haven't had. We've been looking at other teams do it. You know, the Spurs, for example, the Thunder for a bit, you know, just teams that build their talent up to the point where they are superstars, or they're contending every year, you know, for playoff and high, deep runs. We were looking to be the Lakers, and that's only proven to work for the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like buying your free agents and winning teams with consistency, like that's only proven to work for one team in this NBA as long as it's been going. So I think it's now like, yeah, we're in New York, we have that market. Cool. We can't rely on that. We have to rely on what we're doing right now, and I think Summer League was a good start into that. And we can kind of get to go ahead.
Even staying there for a second, Raz. I know this is something you said when we talked about just the Knicks offseason in general. But you know, you can we talk about just this one way of looking at roster construction, and people always want to say, you have to make sure you have cap space for the future and everything, which, like you said, basically only works for the Lakers, but you still have to make sure you're building it properly. But in general, just looking at the Knicks offseason and considering what they did, like I said, I love the Fournier signing. I think, you know, my big takeaway is even, and I guess we can talk about Deuce a little more in a second as well. But I just think this team, I know a lot of people, before we get into season preview of the next season, I'm guessing a lot of people are going to say this team is, you know, due for some regression next season, which I guess, like, whenever you outperform expectations like that, fair enough. But I do think one thing, this team might get a lot better full season guard play from this team, which might negate some of that regression that people are going to expecting. You know what I'm saying? Like even like I love Frank. We'll see where he ends up, but Frank was still a one-way player. Even somebody like a McBride, as long as McBride shot well in college, he shot well in summer league. He's going to have a chance to really, you know, come in and if he can play from day one, that's a great pick. Even like somebody Grimes, who also, you know, as an off-ball shooter, somebody who, you know, he's going to have a gravity on the court. He was kind of unconscious with some of these shots, especially how he was just stepping into even like I watched it. I went back and watched some of the Grimes tape when after we got back, and I'm just like, why were teams still going under screens against Grimes? Like it was pretty obvious pretty quickly. Like, don't go into screens against Quentin Grimes. He's going to make you pay. 40% at Houston on like 8 attempts, I believe, off the top of my head. So he's a shooter, and you know what I'm saying, he's also going to be able to defend on the wing. So like I said, in general, I think this team's going to get, and even before we get Burks, who's always been somebody I love.
Can I play devil's advocate then for all this? We're hyping up all the development, and I love it that we're making good decisions in the draft. But where is the ceiling for IQ to really blossom if he's in an 18-minute per game role next year? Am I wrong to say that?
You're not wrong, but I do think, especially like early enough, I think IQ is still going to get his, you know. But I think depth is another thing to where it's just like if you're trying to keep a respectable level. But
Dibs don't care about that.
No. But I still think like it might take some time, but I don't think he's gonna not get his on ball reps. And I think there's enough. I think the glut is more in the front court than it is in the back court. I think IQ is still gonna get a lot of his touches, and you know what I'm saying. I think the efficiency was kind of off for IQ, just exploring it, to a full extension. So I don't think he's there yet. He probably still needs a little more development time. But I still think, that second, that 2.5 guard spot, you know what I'm saying? I still think for what he does with his attack. But bro, I think there's gonna be enough minutes still. Somebody's playing like a full season of, like, Elfrid Payton played a lot of minutes last year. You know what I'm saying?
Facts, so you got Kemba at the 1, you got Rose at the 1, you got Fournier at the 2, then you got IQ at the 2, but then you got Burks, who's really a swing, who's going to play the 2 and the 3. I want to see.
Burks is going to play most of the 3.
I think there's enough.
You don't think he's going to play any 2?
I don't think he's going to play much 2 at all. I think he's going to play most of the 3. I think.
But then we're in the situation where we think RJ is going to play 36, 37 minutes a game. Do we really think Thibodeau likes Burks a lot? Yeah, because we're going to get into RJ later, but like he's going to be the lockdown defender for this team next year. Do we really think he's going to take him off the court for more than 12 minutes a game? So do we really think they just signed Alec Burks to play 12 minutes a night? Like, I'm just projecting right now. So I think not to be in the pessimistic side where I normally am, but I want to see IQ ball next year. I want to see him get 30 minutes a good amount of the time. I don't see that path. So how do we see IQ develop? How do we see him develop in 14 minutes a night? Like, you feel what I'm saying?
I don't think it's gonna be 14 minutes a night.
I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, I think he'll get around 18 to 22 minutes a night, and there's gonna be nights when he's going to be the hot hand, and I think Tibbs will ride that now. Just what he has experienced with him over the past year, and I just think, you know, like what he did last year when Quickly was hot, he would ride him to the end of the game, you know, until he got to like defensive purposes. You know, sometimes he took him out a little sooner than he should have to get back, you know, his veterans in. But I think this is a good problem to have. Like, we're talking about a good problem right now. We haven't had good problems.
Kemba injury, you know what I'm saying? Kemba, we're not going like Kemba. Tibbs made the joke about playing back to backs. You know what I'm saying? Kemba, you know what I'm saying? Save him for the back end of the season playoffs if you guys still in contention for it. But even Rose as well. Like, I think the minutes are gonna come, but you're not wrong about the roster glut. But it's just like minutes glut. But in terms of just having enough guards, maybe year 2 is the season that he gets fully unlocked. But I think long term, I don't think that's going to be like a huge detriment to where he ends up. And I think even somebody IQ, if he's getting up to like 20 to 25 minutes per game, I still think he's going to be able to make a considerable impact on the game in those minutes and doing what he does.
Yeah, no, I think that he's probably going to get like 20 to 25. And I think that in those, as long as he's getting that consistently, because you're right. I was screaming all year, even last year, for him to get 30 minutes. I was like, if you have minutes to get to Elfrid Payton, you have more minutes for him. But, you know, I understand this year. I mean, between Kemba and Rose, like, you know, there's likely going to be some level of whether it's load management or, you know, games missed, whatever it may be, to create more opportunity. But I think he'll be able to get a solid 20 to 25. And I think that if he gets that consistently and he's able to – that was my problem last year. Like, sometimes he would go off, and, you know, he would have a great game and he would get left out there for a little bit. And the next game he would play 9 minutes. I'm like, yo, what are we doing? So as long as he's, whether it's 22 minutes, whether it's 25 minutes, whether it's 19 minutes, like if it's consistent to where he can establish his role and operate within that, I'll feel better.
So, I mean,
keeping it a buck up. Okay,
go ahead, Drew.
Now, I'm playing this right now. This is going to be a thing 12 months from now. Sean, I know you running the Evan Fournier fan club. The fan base low-key might turn on him because we want to see IQ play more. I could see a world where that happens, where Fournier shoots the team out of games and, like, we want to see IQ. But you think the fan base is going to like Fournier?
But, like, what's the, like, this is the thing.
Where's he going to shoot us out of a game, bro? He shoots like 45% from the
like 40% from three, like consistently. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks need his shooting. Like,
I'm 3-on-1 right now.
That doesn't make any sense though. But it's like, just pull up Fournier's efficiency, you know, from outside shooting these last couple of years. Like, if he has an outlier bad, that's an outlier bad shooting season. I don't think it necessarily makes him a bad shooter. But yeah, his track record as a shooter, definitely. That's what I'm saying.
He's a good shooter.
He's the type of shooter that you want on your wings, taking those shots and getting tough buckets, which they needed somebody else who can kind of get those bailout shots. End of shot clock, which is really where, you know, the offense kind of sputtered in the playoffs and in games where they struggled. But no, man, I think Fournier is pretty solid, man. That's just one thing. Like, is it a possibility? But like, yeah, fans say darndest things a lot of times. So you're not wrong. Could I see it? Why do things have happened? But I think especially with having two guys like Randall and RJ who's gonna be able to get to the cup and free up those lanes for him, I think Fournier is gonna have a pretty good, you know, shooting season just from. But like you said, just in general, yeah, the minutes glut is something it's gonna be interesting to see, especially for these young guys. We know Thibs he's gonna make them earn their minutes, which necessarily isn't a bad thing to have young guys earn their minutes. One thing, I know somebody asked a question about Jericho Sims. Yeah, shout to the homie in the chat. But they asking about in the chat. Shout to Adrian King 47. Can Jericho make a bench spot or he rot in G League like Iggy?
I mean, he's not Iggy. So shout out to Iggy, by the way. You know, cult fan base that Iggy had, but Jericho Sims is someone who his impact on the NBA side of things will be seen a lot quicker than Iggy Bradakis would have been on this team. So it's one of those things where it's like Mitchell Robinson, Nerlens Noel, Taj Gibson. I'm not a betting man, but you know, if I was, I would bet at some point somebody's going to need about 5 or 6 games. And Jericho Sims is going to be somebody who you're going to be able to plug and play to protect the rim, high fly, catch those alleys the same way that those other two do, and Taj Gibson's not really above the rim anymore, and he's just a vet. Go ahead.
Other two?
I mean, Nerlens can't catch, but he protects.
Okay.
But he protects the rim. But that's what I'm saying. Jericho Sims can do both of those. He can fill in for both of them. Is the point I'm trying to make.
I think Jericho's spending most of his time in the G League this season, but I think he's going to be
that's fair though.
Yeah, no, I think he's spending most of his time in the G League this season. But it's not. I think this is like physically, it didn't take long in those first couple of summer league games to where it just looked like he fit on the basketball court. This on the NBA court. I think also I don't have the stat up in front of me, but like he also physically, I know he had one of the highest standing verts. So this is he registered 44.5-inch max vertical, which is basically the second highest mark in for NBA at the NBA combine. So I think just from that rim running perspective, I think even that's what I said. I think the glut for big men, which I think we could finish up with the Knicks on Obi really quickly. So what did you guys see from Obi? What did you guys like from Obi? I said defensively, I think he knew a lot more. He looked a lot more comfortable defensively. Especially I want to say in the passing lanes and just moving his feet, which is something that I think he improved the way he moved his feet. I think he looks a lot better than he did even when he was in Dayton. So I think, but activity-wise on the boards and what Obi showed us was amazing. I'm just wondering where these minutes are coming from. So what do you guys see from Obi? And
this is my same issue with IQ.
What do you guys? Yeah, I think it's worse than the. I think it's worse than the.
It is worse.
How do you guys?
This is what we was on the Knicks War Pod the first day of the free agency. We were both sick-faced because we wanted to see Obi at the 5 instead of Noel. Obviously, that didn't get to happen, and it comes down to a coaching philosophy issue because just like we're talking about with Sims, I think Thibodeau could see long-term. He loves to have that rim-protecting weak side help defender at the 5 for him. Obi, I've never seen a player redefine who they are in one season more than Toppin, which is why I rock with him so hard now, even though I was sick-faced the minute we picked him, because who he is today is not who I expected him to be out of the draft. Like he's a catch-and-shoot threat now. Defensively, he moves his feet pretty well. Like he has real awareness on the court. In terms of his playing time, it's not going to be there. Like it's just not going to be there. So I still think at the end of the day, I think me and Sean are going to have this conversation. I wonder if the Knicks are still putting all of their assets in a basket for a trade because I don't know how much longer they're going to keep trotting at top for 14 minutes a night.
I don't think that's a bad way of approaching it, especially when I don't think any of these aren't, cap shattering contracts that they've signed this offseason.
No.
There's a couple non-guarantees in there, and you know what I'm saying. I think even the Kemba thing is short term. The Rose contract is 3 years. I think he got off the top of my head.
2 + 1.
2 + 1.
Yeah.
So I don't think, and especially if they have to make a trade, they also do have they have future picks. They have desirable young guys on rookie contracts. And
it's a flexible roster. It's malleable.
That's why I think what I'm saying. We talk about where the Knicks get into roster construction a lot of times, but this is one of the best situations they've probably been in since pre-Carmelo era. Just in terms of the assets they have and the young players on the team. So will they make the next step? I do think it is, even if they did exceed expectations last season, I do think they're still about where they should be right now. And I think, just being patient with this core and seeing a lot more improvement. So I think they're in a good spot. But yeah, going back to Obi, Raz, I don't know if you hopped in there with Obi yet.
So Obi, just in person, man, like he looked just a lot more confident, right? I mean, obviously playing with a drop-off in talent helps, but just having the offense be centered around what you can do it kind of just showed the world of difference in the type of player that he can be. Obviously, Julius Randle, he's our guy, so he's going to get a majority of those touches, but there will be opportunities for them to run together if Tibbs sees fit. His help side defense looked a lot better than it did in the beginning of last season. Obviously it got better towards the end of last season, but like in summer league, he looked like a good rim protector, a good help defender. Obviously, him sliding his feet, we still leave a lot to, still leaves a lot to be desired there if he gets caught out on the perimeter, but he's working on that, and that is evident. And then in terms of just looking for his own offense, like he was, one quick dribble move and a decision, and he was at the rim. You know, he was letting that three fly to where it was something that it was in rhythm. It wasn't something where we were pump faking and hesitating like he was in the beginning of the year. So just this type of Obi, this play from Obi with this type of confidence, you know, he's going to be probably realistically, if I had a perfect world, our seventh or eighth person off the bench. We'll see how that goes. But, you know, coming in with that punch where he's going to be able, you know, if he's rolling, to get us about 20 points off the bench. You know, obviously I don't expect him to average that. But, you know, if he's somewhere being productive for us, getting us around 10 and 5 in his limited time, that's something that we will need in the playoffs, you know, especially when some things get into foul trouble and the offense gets stagnant. You just need another option, which we didn't have last year.
Sean, where you at?
Guys, when Obi got – first, you go first, Sean.
I was really impressed by Obi. I feel like it was some of the things he improved on were really important just in terms of him being able to stay on the floor. He's much better as far as catch and shoot is concerned. You know, the quickness he got the shot off with, how comfortable he was with it. I remember last year, you know, he like a deer in headlights when it got kicked out to him. And we were using him primarily as a spot up shooter, which was like hurting him even more. So I feel like he adjusted, you know, he's improved at that. And I think that works. You know, at times I was a little frustrated that we were using him in a way that wasn't optimal to him. But now I feel like he's grown into that. And now we saw in Summer League that if we use him more as a roller this year, which I would really like to see, because that's one of his biggest threats. And he even was pulling up off of the pick and roll. Like he was pulling up on a dime, pulling up for mid-range jumpers on I was like, oh, that's different. The ball handling looked way better. He looked way more confident with the ball. He made confident moves, as you were saying. Like, so I'm excited. I don't know how many minutes there are for him. I feel like we can't give him less than 20 minutes a game. I feel like it's irresponsible to give him less than 20 minutes a game this year. If he's made the improvements you needed him to make, he was the 8th pick in the draft last year, and he's very talented. And if he adds to us when he's on the floor, I feel like, you know, you give Randall like 34 minutes a game and give Obi other 14 at power forward, and then you got to find a way to squeeze him in the 6 center minutes or squeeze Randall in 6 center minutes, whatever it may be. Yeah, can Obi get into the small ball 5? I believe so. I believe that some people say that Tibbs wouldn't do it. Yeah, some people say Tibbs wouldn't do it because he needs rim protection from his 5, but it's like, bro, for 3 minutes per half, you can make it work. And it's not like Obi and Randall completely are like, they may not be Mitch and Nerlens, but like they can stand in front of the basket, bro. Like Obi gets vertical. He did better. He did okay at that last year, honestly. Like he was taking, I forgot who, I think it was Vooch. We were playing Vooch, and he was guarding Vooch one-on-one on the block, and Vooch tried to like bully him, and he turned around and stuffed him. And it was just like, oh, okay, he's capable. So I think you have the same way that you forced him into shooting threes and being a catch and shoot guy, you might have to force him into being a rim protector for 3 minutes every half.
Yeah, but that just goes into the point of we know what Thibodeau is. He's set in his ways. He's going to be stubborn. So it's kind of like we didn't see it for 1 minute last season. Do we really expect to see it next season when he – actually, now that we've seen him play Taj in crunch time over Obi in a playoff series, that removed all hope for me to ever see him do it going into next season. Now, Taj even got a 2-year deal. I've put that dream to rest. As long as Julius is healthy, it's 15 minutes a night, and we got to keep it cool. My question to both y'all, actually all three y'all, how did y'all feel when the Knicks selected Obi? Did you feel like that was a strong pick? Because I absolutely hated it because where the NBA was going was more you wanted those switchable bigs that could shoot 3, and then I didn't believe on Toppin's shooting volume coming out of college, but it seems like he became this player that can do a lot of catch and shoot and defend now. So he's actually reimagined himself. So I'm actually pretty happy with him as a player. I want to know your thoughts then compared to now.
I mean, I was there at that point. I was just like, take the best player available, get some talent. I did want Killian Hayes last year too. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I do. Speaking of him, I'm also very torn on what he's doing right now.
He did not look good. He was like a 2-pack of ass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He was hurt last year, so I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep some hope alive. But Cade's gonna cannibalize a lot of that ball handling. So we'll revisit this at some point during the season. But Obi, at that last year, I don't think I wanted him. I won't sit there and lie. I can't really think back and harken back to my takes, but I do think once we drafted him, and obviously I follow college ball, I'm like, he was, in theory, the best player available at the time. And he's one of those guys where I do believe at some point, You can't draft when you're that bad. You can't draft for need. Like you have to draft for talent. Like you have to you get all the chips on the table and you figure it out after that. So I think just stockpiling talent would have never been an issue for us at that time. And I thought we kind of went with him because we did have Tibbs at that point. So, you know, Tibbs likes his players a little bit older. Obi, very old. So it's one of those things where, you know, he had experience in college. He wasn't going to come in as a freshman. He's played in some games. And I thought that we just took the best talent available and we would stockpile talent and we would let the chips fall where they may, which it seems like we're doing. And we'll figure that if this works out for us. But I think Obi's going to be a useful player in the NBA, and I think he's going to be a useful player for us.
Yeah, personally, at the time.
Guys.
What happened?
That means you think he's going to be a Knick long term.
I don't see why not. I don't see why he would. I feel like at worst, like literally at worst, he can be our 6th or 7th man. Like I don't know.
In order to get to that 6th man, you have to play the 4 and 5. You can't. In order for him to.
Yeah, but things change. I don't think we can just be this pessimistic off of one playoff year. Like we sound like we would have 10th seed last year. Like we'll figure it out. Like Tibbs obviously, you know, he has a track record, but Tibbs also showed me that he would play rookies last year. Like I didn't expect Quickly to get that many minutes. Like Toppin didn't get those minutes because he wasn't good at the beginning of the year. Like that's literally what it came down to. Like he just he wasn't good. Quickly showed that he gave us the spark off the bench, and he went with that. The Elfrid Payton thing, let's just bury it under the rug. He wanted somebody to play defense. It is what it is. Elfrid Payton's gone. We don't have to worry about it no more. Now we'll see what we can do now and what the roster will look like when we have 3 to 4 dynamic guards that can come in and run the one. Like we've never had this. We've been crying about point guards since I've been in elementary school.
Literally.
Like we literally have been crying about it. So let's just see what happens now. We get 80% of Kemba Walker. This Knicks team is 1,000 times better than they were last year. That's how it
popping. Yeah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I agree with that. I think we're a much better team just based on the backcourt alone, and it is really nice not to not have any point guard player or anything like that, to be wondering, oh my goodness, how are we going to get all these minutes around this position is a great problem to have. Obi, I mean, and you know, it's tough, especially like it's weird because what we say is like people hear it and see it. So like I have to be careful. I feel like I have to be careful. There's this fan side of me that's like, oh, I want Obi to be here forever. You know, like I love him. We drafted him. Like it is what it is. Then there's like
business of basketball.
There's the business of basketball that understands that if you can't get a guy 20 minutes after you drafted him top 10 the year before, he might just be an asset if he's behind the guy who's leading the league in minutes and is all NBA. So one way or another, it's good. The better Obi gets, the better it is for him, and the better it is for us, whether he's here or not. Damn, I forgot but yeah, like I don't know if he's gonna necessarily. Oh, that's what we were saying. How we felt when he was drafted. I was 100%, probably 200% LaMelo Ball hive. So that's all I wanted. I wanted any way it could possibly be done. I wanted LaMelo Ball. I was willing to throw in the 2021 pick. Everybody was like, "Oh, the 2021 draft is so good. There's 9 players who are better than him." I was like, "Yo, I don't know. I can't imagine there's 9 guys better than what this guy does." But you know, it is what it is. I also like Killian. But this, and I thought I wanted Vassell. That was who I wanted to aid if none of those guys were there. Once Obi was on the board, I fully understood. Like, he wasn't supposed to be there. So you kind of have to make that pick. Like, I get it. I wasn't mad at it. Plus, at the time, we didn't know if they were going to keep Randall or not. Like, we didn't know what was going on. So I wasn't mad at the pick. Now, I like him, and I'm rooting for him heavy. Like, I want him to be the best he can possibly be. I have an affinity for him. He's a great guy. I believe in him as a player. But it would take the organization increasing his role. Like if he doesn't play 20 minutes, then clearly it's not somebody you're trying to build around going forward because you're not moving him into that in a conducive role. Like Halliburton should have been a pick. I will never sit here and pretend I wanted Tyrese Halliburton. That was actually the one person I didn't want.
That jogs my memory, but Halliburton was somebody in my like top 3. I was upset at that point. I was like, yo, we could have had Halliburton and quickly, but you know, that's just like
man.
Paulie Walnuts is right. Wow. How do you just start trouble everywhere he go? I think it's one of those things where, you know, what, like you said, once we saw Obi was the pick and he was on the board, you had to understand that.
So I think like my thing, like, and Drew, you're not incorrect, but I do just want to flash back. Like a couple years ago in the front court, they were giving Lance Thomas, Noah Vonleh, and like Luke Cornett minutes. So you know what I'm saying? Is Obi a long-term piece? I think he fits more in the rotational with starter upside helm of things. But you know what I'm saying? I think just from a talent perspective, I don't think it's the end of the world. But I don't think, you know, everything you're saying about like, is there really room for growth? And I think the second the pick was made, you could have said, you know, is it the best upside pick? Probably not. But I don't think it actually, you know, ruins everything or sets the team back too far. So I think, I don't know if you guys have any last Nick takes. I think we basically touched on everything.
But also, quick question, Sean.
What's up? Go ahead.
Question, Sean. When you said he has starter upside, realistically, on a team with a 27-year-old Julius Randle at power forward and a 23-year-old Mitchell Robinson at the 5, where is the starter upside?
I'm saying it, not on this team, but I think just
exactly,
yeah. Like I think if you have to move him in a deal, you know what I'm saying? I think, you know, Obi going towards like if he's in year 3 or year 4 of his rookie scale contract, I don't think it's going to be impossible to throw him in as a sweetener in a deal along with picks. So I don't think I don't disagree with you at all. But yeah, I don't think Obi's a bad player. And I think he's shown you can play that role, and there's more upside to really be see over here. I think he shot 34% in summer league on on 35 attempts. So if you're telling me he's shooting 35% from 3, I think the rest of the actual game works out for Obi. And I think offensively he's good enough to where him not being, you know, this ultimate rim protector, he's still good enough offensively. So I wanted to parlay this a little more into, you know, overall summer league takes. So I mean, we can just talk about other guys around the league that's really stood out to you. Drew, we can start with you, bro. Also, before do you guys remember Kevin Knox? I don't know what Kevin Knox is up to these days. You guys know?
Some of the Fortnite leaderboards last week. I don't know.
I know he was in COVID protocol. You know, he asked to be on the summer league team, and to be honest with you, 1,000% honest with you guys, I would have felt the same way about him that I did about Wayne Selden. So it's probably for the best. So you know, win now, I guess. You know, he don't.
You think it's really slow for Kevin Knox long term?
Where in the NBA?
In the NBA.
You know, it's funny.
As a rotational piece.
You know,
I think he may go somewhere else, but
I was watching. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Michael Porter Jr. and like Trae Young did like a little interview. So they was just chopping up about their like AAU experiences, and it's basically like there's a lot of dudes that could kill in the league that just never really got that opportunity. And they brought up the legend of Kevin Knox on summer league. I mean, on the AAU grassroots circuit, because Kevin Knox was a true prospect, but. You know what I'm saying? I think he still has, you know, the hypotheticals, but he has a long way to go. So I think, Raz, who else stood out to you this in summer league, you know, checking out these games, and who just balled out? And we could talk about the way too good for summer league all-stars, basically.
Let's see. So obviously all the Houston Rockets, clearly, because that team was fun to watch. But I mean, we'll start at the top. Like, Cade Cunningham is him. All the detractors that, you know, I don't understand why we were getting Cade detractors, but Cade can play basketball. Hot take: Cade Cunningham good at round ball. Let's just leave it at that. Now, if we want to get into some of like the, you know, the deeper dives that, you know, obviously Scotty Barnes isn't a deeper dive, but Scotty Barnes showed that he is going to be impactful, kind of, you know, on both sides of the ball in the NBA. I mean, obviously, we haven't seen him against the elite of the elite talent and elite defense, but even from his last game at Florida State, he looks a little bit more comfortable offensively, and that's just scoring the basketball. Like the facilitating and everything like that still looks a little bit raw, but like that's coming along with it too. And his defense is obviously something that is going to be his calling card. So I think Scotty Barnes is going to be a fine NBA player.
I think with Cade for a second, it's funny because we could talk about the fit between Cade and Killian long term, and this is a conversation that we had as well. Because I think some people mentioned, Cade's assist numbers weren't too great. And it's funny because I think Cade's scoring is way more advanced than people gave him credit for. And I think the passing that people kind of shined a light on him a little more, it's not as advanced, even though I think, Cade is one of these guys where he doesn't have that, elite first step, but he's always going to make the right play. So I'm not really concerned about his passing. Now, is Killian Hayes going to get Dennis Smith Jr. to where, Luka's there and, these two guys just can't fit? You know what I'm saying? I think I'm not gonna say it's happening, but I think the light is gonna be on Killian for to come on that end. I think if you want to say he's a better prospect, I respect it. Dennis Smith Jr. was a damn good prospect in his own rights, but is he really good enough to take the ball out of Cade Cunningham's hand? I think that remains to be seen.
I still haven't given up on Dennis Smith Jr. by the way.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Why? What? He's a dunker with two bad knees and a bad back.
I'm not saying it's logical at this point. I'm just saying I still think, what I'm saying, he gets to the rim whenever he wants to. But Raz, you're not wrong. You Dreamville fan. You're not even supposed to be saying that in public.
You're right.
Come on, bro.
Sorry, Cole. My fault. Cole. Come on.
Never. What about you, Drew? Who else stood up to you, bro?
I think y'all gassing Cade. I think Cade looked really good, but Jalen Green looks
cut his mic.
Jalen Green does look like a superstar. Jalen Green looks like Vince Carter. I think he's gonna be 20 points a game next year. 30 points within 3 years.
Said we gassing Cade, bro. Come on now.
No. I believe in Cade too. I think Cade is a superstar, but I think we're acting like. What upset
said
me?
They balled out. What do you mean we acting like?
Yeah, but y'all just spent the whole time talking about Cade, where I'm saying give Jalen his respect too.
Talk about the dude in the bell bottoms, bro. Go ahead. He high flying.
He a fly guy.
Silky hair.
My issue is because draft Twitter, Sean, I know y'all remember draft Twitter. They did not like Jalen Green. The majority of draft Twitter had Evan Mobley ahead of Jalen Green. They had. I think Green fourth or third to a lot. Not you. I said you. I didn't say you. I'm saying you saw it. You observed. You feel me?
Factual.
You observed. And a lot of them were down on him, just saying outside of scoring, what is he? But what if he's an elite top 1% in the world scorer, which it looks like he is. And he has, number one, the determination, but also the athleticism and the headiness to become a good defender too. So if you have a two-way guy, he's not there yet, but he has the potential to be. And somebody that's probably could be one of the 10 best shot creators in the NBA in 3 years, that's going to be an perennial all-star and probably the highest ceiling player in the draft. Jalen Green, watching him was just fun. And then the second opinion I had was this draft second round was loaded. There were so many guys that went in the 30s and 40s. I'm I rock with him. I think he's going to be a 10-year pro. I really, really liked this second round. We all saw Sharif, we saw McBride.
Very deep draft.
And I want to start patting myself on the back. Raz, you could pat on me for Book Night looking really nice and doing other things besides scoring, even though y'all were just saying he's a bucket that does nothing else. I think he really showed it. No, the other show.
That Book Night pack. That Book Night pack. Watch. That Book Night pack. I'm gonna play the long game on that one. That Book Night pack.
They were very anti-Book Night with me all year. They think I was wilding.
I'm still here. I have yet to.
He's not. This is pettiness at this point. This is the ego.
It's not pettiness. It's no ego.
This is ego. This is all ego. Now at this point, he proved you wrong. LaMelo Book Night is going to be Hollywood to watch. That's going to
be. Where has he? Time out. Where did he prove me wrong yet? Has
I was there.
Have NBA games played?
For the Hornets Kings game, Davion had him in hell. I witnessed that one. I can't.
A lot of people. Thank you for bringing up Davion, because my last opinion is just to be I think draft Twitter overanalyzes some things sometimes because they were really low on Davion because of his age, and they didn't believe his three-point shooting because his free throw shooting percentages were a little bit lower than you'd like to see. But Davion is a bowler. The Pat Beverly comparisons were terrible. I did not like them at all. All over Twitter. Are you kidding me? I could type in Pat Beverly.
Your timeline is awful.
Davion Mitchell.
That didn't come to mind.
Draft Twitter's gonna put my head on a spike. Draft Twitter's gonna put my head on a spike.
I've seen them.
Because I've seen it all over Draft Twitter. Yeah, bro. I was in a mock.
Bro.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious. That is true.
Oh shit! All right, yo, Sean, who stood out to you in Summer League? We're gonna talk like, nah, you're not wrong.
I can't believe nobody said anything about Jalen Suggs. I mean, and it just plays right into what I see, because I remember I'm never really up on people in high school for real. Like it's like one or two guys maybe, but there was an invitational in Fort Myers as soon as the season started in college ball, and I turned the TV on and I was like, yo, this Jalen Suggs kid is different. And he was like that all year, and he does it all over the floor. He does it offensively. He does it defensively. He sets everybody up. He gets to the rack. He gets steals. He blocks shots. And he did all of that in Summer League. Like, he did all of that stuff that I fell in love with his game for right away. And, so I'm looking forward to it. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in Orlando. They got mad guards, but I know that he's the first one. And I'm surprised Toronto didn't take him. But, yeah.
How many good guards do they have, though?
That's a great question.
Like 1.5.
I
that are good.
To be good because I'm a Tar Heel fan. So Cole Anthony has to be good because we haven't really had any good
for the brand.
So Cole has to be good. I don't know if RJ Hampton is good. Markelle Fultz he's good, but is he ever playing?
Yeah,
So yeah, but I know that Jalen Suggs is going to be the guy, and I feel like he's going to make them better offensively, defensively, and he's going to have the ball in his hand and be able to make plays. So I look forward to seeing what he does over there this year. I like teams, I like guys like that where I can enjoy him playing, but don't have to worry about his team being good enough to interfere with mine. So I'm going to enjoy Jalen Suggs a lot.
Yeah, Suggs is money, man. That kid is a dog, and that kid is like, we talk about him, and you know what I'm saying. One of my favorite conversation I had was just somebody asked me, was like, who do you think like has a higher upside between Davion and Suggs? And I just think, like, regardless of who you think the answer is, they're both dogs and they're both winners. The type of guards that change, you know what I'm saying? I think when we talk about like defense, like rim protection is kind of the most important. Then you get to wing defense. Point of attack is also important. And you get to guys like Jalen Suggs, you get to guys like Davion Mitchell. Those guys who could pick up full court, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the defense in a way. And those guys are both winners. They've won on every level. So I love both of them. Probably my favorite, person to watch in person this weekend. I gotta say Cam Thomas was quite the joy, man. I gotta show some love to Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas, just his shot making, and what I'm saying, we know at the end of the day, basketball is about putting the ball in the basket. And Cam Thomas can do that. Raz, I know you brought him up as well when we talk about our pre-draft stuff, but the kid, we talk about having an advanced bag and being able, we talk so much about, what turns into the importance of footwork and being able to really stay balanced after making like 3-4 dribble moves. And yeah, Cam Thomas, he showed off everything. And what did he fall to? 28, I think.
27, I thought it was. Something like that, yeah.
I think it was 27.
27. So yeah, I think, and I don't know where he gets. I'm saying. I think can he play the Landry Shamet role in year one? Shit, he might just be able to do that in year one. Especially, and I think he has a lot more, on ball shot creation. Another one that I would definitely say stood out to me. Also, who I actually mentioned him in the chat, but yeah, Jalen Johnson, man. I think the fit for him was going to be really important in the league, I would say. But I think just hypothetically, him next to somebody like Trae Young is going to be perfect for his game. I think just somebody who could always fill the lane, and somebody who, I think his off-ball instincts were underrated. And I think why, even as somebody who, the early portion of the Duke season, they were asking him to do a lot with the ball in his hand, and I don't really think he wasn't really that type of guy. And in the NBA, he's really not going to have to do that. So I think Atlanta hit a home run on that pick. And also Sharife Cooper, seeing some of the passes he made in person were ridiculous. We just talking about the live dribble passing from him and the anticipation and the skip passes to the corner. He showed it all. I think his showdown with him and Maxey was probably another one of my favorite games. And shit, I don't know if I got
doesn't have to see Deuce McBride, he'll be okay.
Yeah,
Deuce McBride had that boy Alcatraz.
That was crazy, man. But yeah, I think like even Maxey as well. I think Maxey had probably my favorite performance in person. And I think even I think the Ben Simmons and Philly ship is done, but I think there's a lot of upside for even Maxey playing on somebody like an Embiid. So he's another one of these guys that just proved that way too good for Summer League.
So I have a question. Y'all are more like tapped in with the draft and stuff like. My question is like with Sacramento, like, are they playing Fox, Davion, and Tyrese together, like 1, 2, 3?
What's going Oklahoma City did it last year with CP3 2 years ago. CP3, Shea, Schroeder, and that lineup was like elite in 3-man lineups, like plus minus wise. So I think
we had that conversation. We had that conversation in Vegas. Probably consuming some of the finest of Hennessy. This is a Hennessy podcast, by the way. And we basically were like, yo, you could play all three of them and then probably go double big, and it might work out. Now, if Bagley ever decides he wants to be an NBA player, they could kind of work this out. But like in terms of like Rashawn Holmes is still there, so he adds that yeah. Love Rashawn Holmes. But yeah, if they were able to play Bagley next to him, that would be awesome. Like that would be a great lineup, a great young lineup that I would tune in to see. But instead it's going to be Harrison Barnes, which I have no problem with, by the way. But I think they should be able to go double big with those three and kind of run a few people out the gym.
But Barnes could play the 4.
Yeah, and Buddy Hield is where this
Buddy Hield's he's getting
he's still on the roster. I don't know if Buddy's on that team. Like, all right, I don't know what to do with that. Just speaking about it hypothetically, because like Tyrese Halliburton, what I'm saying. I think he's a really good. His instincts on defense are great. He's more of the off-ball type of guy. He's not really. You can put him at the point of attack, but he's more comfortable, really, flooding passing lanes, making rotations. That's really what he does well. De'Aaron Fox defensively. I'm saying? I also don't think you can put him at the point of attack, but I also do think athletically he has enough athleticism to really play off ball as well, to where it's just like you want to say if he's gonna have to he's still low, he's not perfect to where like if one of those guys gonna have to guard some type of 3. So it's gonna be situational, it's gonna be the right lineup. And then Davion, yeah, man, I think he's gonna be way too good defensively to keep off the floor for him. And especially because the Kings had the worst defense in the league last year. So they're gonna need all the defense they can get. Is Luke Walton the right person to really play the right lineup at the right time? If you're in the chat, you can let us know what you think about that. I'm not even going to go there. But
you know what LeVar Ball thinks.
Shout out to LeVar, man. Oh.
Have a look.
I haven't seen it. We didn't even talk about LiAngelo. Drew, thoughts?
On LiAngelo, I think he can play in the league. Like, I think shooting translates. Like, he could be a 13th, 14th man, but are you asking my thoughts on the Kings or LiAngelo? Where are we going right now?
Whatever you want, bro. Whatever you want.
Well, yeah.
I wanted to get on. I wanted to get on when I was with Raz at the draft. We both wanted Cam Thomas to be a Knick because honestly, I saw Raz like around pick number 10. He was eating chicken sandwiches. I seen him pick 27. I think he was eating like desserts. Then I seen him like pick 35. He was eating French fries. He was eating his feelings throughout the entire draft. But by pick 35, he was very stressed out because he really wanted to see Cam Thomas and Knick. And then when we thought we drafted Kai Jones at 19, we were both like our brains are blown. So
the NBA has to do better about that too, because like all these picks are getting traded. And like, if you're not on, you don't want to ruin it for yourself while you're at the draft. So when you're there at the draft, you have no idea who the hell any of these picks belong to.
I was young.
Kai Jones he had on the damn Knicks hat the whole time. And then I'm looking, he's on the Hornets, and I'm just like, I have no idea. So they need to look at what the NFL does for the draft in terms of just the semantics and the run of schedule. Like, yeah, go ahead.
That's because the league calendar. That's just like a thing they can't control. That's why it's always been weird like that. But going to any other last thoughts, I mean, we kind of ran it through. Like the second round is lit. I think last year it was interesting. We saw so many players ball out with no summer league, no training camp. This year, I feel like it's a deeper draft. They had training camp. They had a summer league. I think we're going to see how much deeper the player pool has gotten, just because basketball hasn't increased in terms of, number one, how many people are playing it, the interest level, the demographics. I think basketball has jumped over football for a lot of the youth. because they're starting to learn about CTE, they're starting to learn about the shelf life of careers. Like I really do feel like basketball has jumped a tier in terms of its engagement. Because of that, we're getting better basketball, better players. Like think about the Hoopers now compared to like 30 years ago. Like go watch a game in 96, bro. There are players in the summer league that will put spin cycles on those defenders. So I think that's really fun that we're getting much better basketball.
Yeah, no, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I think just for another couple dudes that caught my eye, I wanted to talk about. The Pacers had one of my favorite drafts on the low. I will say that Chris Duarte looked awesome in summer league. The upside is not going to be out of this world, but he's coming in. He's going to be able to shoot. I think defensively, he's also going to be an irritant on the wings. You always need those guys. I think so. If we're talking about somebody, he's going to shoot above league average and give you plus defense. So I think that was a great pick. And my boy Isaiah Jackson also, like, we talk about the Nick Claxton of this actual draft class. I've said that multiple times, but I think he even has a potential to be even better than Claxton on defense. He broke a tied the summer league record for 7 blocks in the game. And no, we're not going to talk about that. We're not talking about the
no shit.
It's never gonna go away.
I wasn't going to mention that at all. Kuminga athletically looked like he did belong on the NBA court. Him and Moody did play really well together. So I would say, I think Kuminga, I see him more as a 4 type. So I think even getting up and down. I think Steph. If he really does get some playing time with Steph, I think the game is going to be so easy for him. So I really can't hate the pick. So we can close it out on this though. I did just pull up. Shout out to Las Vegas. The Knicks, the over under odds are out for the year, and so we can't finish on this. We'll go around the horn on this one. The Las Vegas win total for the New York Knicks this year is 41.5. Sean, since you are our guest and Drew's always on it with us, you go first, bro. 41.5 over under 2021 Knicks season.
100% over. Matter of fact, I might go put my money on it right now. I'm standing on that. There's no way. We won 41 games in a 72-game season, and we're with the worst starting backcourt in the NBA.
This is a fact.
Worst starting. I dare somebody to point out a starting backcourt worse than the Knicks. That wasn't because of injury. It's not the case. So we're definitely a much improved team this year. There's an extra 10 games on the schedule. I mean, it's better than last year when they gave us 22.5 as the expected win total. But yeah,
I won a lot of money on that.
The East did get better though.
The East got better, but I think
so did the Knicks.
Yeah,
everybody keeps forgetting that part. Like we also got better. We just didn't sign a superstar like everyone wanted us to. Like we got substantially better, and we added good youth. Like we stocked the cupboard, and then we got frontline reinforcements. Like that's a great offseason. I don't care what anybody says to that.
We're not used as a fan base. We are not used to functionality.
No.
So while it's happening, people can't acknowledge it. We are doing great. We just watch. Look, when we watch Kevin Knox, this is the first time I've ever watched the summer league and not hoped that the player could save the franchise. Deuce McBride, Quentin Grimes, Jericho Sims, they were all great. None of them are in the rotation. That speaks to how good this team is and how much depth we have. The East got better. I'm not afraid of the Bulls. Honestly, I think what the Heat did is pretty stupid. They've got like 70% of their cap tied into ARP guys. So it's like, good luck with that. I'm not too afraid of anything else anybody else did. We don't even know what's going on in Philly. We don't even know who's going to be on that team because it can't be Ben Simmons. Not with Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid talking about him crazy and Danny Green going on podcasts saying that he's afraid. So Ben Simmons got to be out. So how are we putting ourselves behind teams who don't even know what they're doing yet?
And to be fair, once Ben Simmons is gone, we could beat the Sixers because we've never beat Ben Simmons. So there's also that. so hopefully he goes to like the Kings where it doesn't matter, and and we'll go from there. But what's that total again? What's over?
41.5.
Yeah, I got to pound the over. I'll pound the over on 41.5.
I think Drew, I'll let you go finish, but I'll let you go last. But I think like you said, this team is way better, and regardless of how stubborn Tibbs can be, I think he's been given a lot of situational pieces that can really help this team in different games. So like Drew said, I don't think what I'm saying, there might not be a set 9 or 10 man rotation every game, but I think Tibbs is good enough of a coach to call on the right pieces per game, depending on the matchup going on. So we can end on you, Drew. 41.5. What you thinking?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is going to depend on Kemba's health, because honestly, he made this entire offseason, for me personally, like my enthusiasm did a 180 as soon as we got Walker. And it's because, like, obviously a New Yorker, but we needed his skill set more than anything. Like, the swag is cool. He's a fly player. Like, he's easy to root for. And he's going to make this team, he's going to be the heart and the pulse in a lot of ways of this roster. Because I think we have RJ Randall we all love, but if he is 95% of what he was in Charlotte, this team's flying over that. My fear is if he's the first half of what he was last year, then we might be under. But if Kemba's Kemba, we're going to jump it. So I'm going to say the over. My only concern is going to be is if we got very lucky last year with the 3-point rate, teams couldn't shoot the 3 on us. I want to see if RJ takes that next step, becomes an elite defender, because I really think he could be. So there are some defensive variables, but I'm going to push the over at 44 wins.
Yeah, I think
44 wins.
Yeah. Even like speaking on Kemba for 1 second, because I he was coming off a knee injury, and the knee stuff is real. Like that's a huge concern to have. But like even just looking at what he did last year, we talking 19 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, 42% from the field goal, 36% from 3, 51.4 effective field goal percentage. Kemba was never like his highest. Looking at his career, his highest that he shot around the basket, or just in general, was 44%. I think his pull-up shooting alone is going to be huge for this team. You know what I'm saying? I think that's like the efficiency at the basket might be, a little fleeting, but you also have Julius and RJ, whose whole games are getting to the basket. And I do think just how those 3 guys are going to mesh. I just think as long as Kemba is giving you that elite pull-up shooting, which I think he's still going to give you that. And I think, with those guys on the court, you know what I'm saying? I think the fit is pretty good. So my expectation for Kemba, you said 95% of Charlotte Kemba. Nah, I think even if he gives you like 70 to 75% of, his all-star level, I think that's a huge win.
That would be disappointing though.
How is it disappointing? How is that disappointing?
For who?
He's on the $8 million contract. He's on the $8 million contract.
I understand that. But I think our expectations for Kemba are higher.
They are. I don't think. But no. Go ahead, Sean.
I would love to get 95% of Charlotte Kemba. That would be beautiful. And hearing him say that he's feeling better and he hasn't had this much time off, that's true. He hasn't had this much time off in forever. So if he comes in healthy, and I think that, and I hate to say things like this because this isn't like basketball analysis, but like Kemba being home, you feel me? Situations like have a big impact on guys. I think that Kemba in the Garden for 41 games a year is really going to make, he's going to play very high level basketball. I think he's very happy. And I think that'll play into it. But even if we were to get 70 to 75% of Kemba, it would be 70 to 75% of Kemba is 10 times better than 200% of the point guard we had last year.
That's some quick math, but it's a fact. But even staying there for 1 second, bro, because like even Kemba made the All-Star game in 2019, 2020, which I know it seems like 5 years ago, but like we're talking a year and a half ago, and like he was 42% field goal, 38% from 3. He averaged 20 points and had 5 assists per game. Like his production did, like I think the perception of Kemba really dropped a little further to where his game went. So it's just like, yeah, it would be great to get 95% of peak Kemba, but I think even 70 to 75%, 80% even, that's still such an upgrade on this team. So I think, especially on an $8 million contract, I don't really see how. And if you get improvement from the roster and some of the young guys, I think it's going to make up for the Raz. Where are you at on that?
Kemba at 75%, like everyone has said before, is the best point guard we've had since Felony Felton. and he probably would be better than Felony Felton. So I think what it comes down to is that we need to look at these things objectively. Kemba can still score the rock. He wasn't healthy last year. Yes, is he a miniature guard? Yeah, he's smaller than we would like our lead guards to be, but Kemba has shown that that's not been an issue. And even when he was rolling last year, like before the knee was a little bulky, like he looked good at times. I pair that with him, his minutes not being that heavy because right on the back end of that, we have Derrick Rose. So if you're splitting them in a timeshare that's perfect enough to where both of them can be fresh, we already saw what Derrick Rose looked like fresh. Now, if it's like, damn, Kemba needs a blow and we bringing in Derrick Rose fresh off the bench with that same attacking mentality, we're putting pressure on teams' backcourts the whole game. And then for fun, you have Quickly. Like, that's what I'm saying. If you get into a bind, you can throw in McBride if you really have to. Like, we have options that we haven't had. And I don't know how, Charlie Ward and Chris Childs, dog. Like, what are we talking about? Like, so we have options that will be attacking at other teams backcourts the whole game. That changes things. And that takes a lot of pressure off of Randall and RJ to have people on the team that can go right. So I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Like, we have diversified scoring now. We went and got shooters. We went and got shot creators and someone to control the pace of the offense on both units. And I think we'll be fine.
Raz, I forgot about Raymond Felton's wife snitching on him about having a unlicensed gun in the crib until you mentioned that. But yeah, I think that's a perfect way to end the show. Sean, this has been the Draft Season Nick Wall collaboration episode. Sean, please let the people know where they can check out all your stuff and the Nick Wall stuff. Plug everything you got, my guy.
Yo, so check us out at the Knicks Wall on Twitter and Knicks Wall on IG, youtube.com/the Knicks Wall. You feel me? Subscribe. Every single game, whether it's we do pregame and halftime on Twitter, but post games are going up every single time. You feel me? It's a movie in there. During the win streak, we had a great time last year. I probably worried my neighbors a lot by screaming at the late hours of the game. But it's always great energy, man. It's a great community. It's a great time. So, tap in with us. And then I hate Sean. That's Sean with the SHAUN. I shouldn't have to spell I or hate for you.
I think, but not even saying that, because Knicks Wall is dope, but it just shows, like, especially the importance of independent media, because it was a couple years like, LOL Knicks, the Knicks are an easy punchline, and I've always said it's just like, bro, Knicks fans are hilarious people, so they could probably make better jokes about the team than anybody else that does not follow the actual Knicks on a night-to-night basis. Then, like, Knicks fans know the pain, they know the vibes, and they always going to give you some comedy on the side with it. So just shout out to the Knicks Wall, shout out to all the Knicks, creators out there. Drew, let the people know where you at and where they can follow you at, bro.
You can hit me at SkyDrew _. Instagram, Drew A. Kim. Again, follow the Knicks Wall, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Really appreciate y'all having me on. Sean and Raz, I'm going to say this one last time. I got to get on one fantasy football pod so I can curse y'all out because I disagree with everything y'all say. But really happy y'all had me on. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, also
Raz, take us out of here, bro.
Go ahead, Sean. What was you saying?
No, I'm saying also honored to be on. Appreciate y'all.
No, we appreciate you, bro. This is the Draft Season Podcast. We will be back next week. Next week is going to be Hell Week. We're going to give y'all content about every day. Fantasy football is here. This is your boy Young Raz. We are signing off.